here is the women's basketball world choosing to reject the attention that is finally coming their way by rejecting Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA has really missed out by passing on Caitlin Clark. She's not just any rookie, she's the most exciting thing to happen to the WNBA, NCAA, and women's basketball in general. But here's an intriguing twist. She got left out of the Team USA women's basketball roster. Talk about a major surprise for 2024.
Look, let's be honest, most people didn't even know they had women's basketball in the Summer Olympics. Now you have a chance to do this, and you don't take it, so here.
In basketball, having top-notch skills and fierce competitiveness can overshadow even the biggest teams worldwide, and Caitlin Clark embodies all of that. So, what could be behind Team USA's decision not to include the Indiana Star rookie? First, let's take a look at Clark's performance in her rookie year with the WNBA. Despite the Indiana Fever's 3-for-29 season, Clark shined individually, averaging 16.8 points, 6.3 assists, and 5.3 rebounds. Her performance and impact are unprecedented for a rookie in the WNBA. So why isn't she on the Team USA roster? Experience can't be the excuse, considering the USA national basketball team's history of selecting rookies. Since women's basketball was added to the Olympics in 1976, at least 2 players under 25 have been included in every Olympic roster. The youngest ever to play for the USA women's team was Nancy Lieberman at 18 in 1976. In the Tokyo Games, the youngest were Asia Wilson and Nafisa Collier, both 24. Additionally, there's a precedent for including the top WNBA draft pick in Olympic years, such as Diana Taurasi in 2004, Candace Parker in 2008, and Breanna Stewart in 2016. The U.S. team didn't include Ndamukadi Agwumaike in the lineup back in 2012, even though she was with Los Angeles and now Seattle. Now, Caitlin Clark finds herself in a similar situation. During her time at Iowa, Clark became the Division I career scoring leader for both men and women, finishing with 3,951 points. She also reached the national championship game in both her junior and senior years.
Look, let's be honest, most people didn't even know they had women's basketball in the Summer Olympics. Now you have a chance to do this, and you don't take it, so here.
However, selecting Clark would have meant more than just highlighting her story. It would have introduced Olympic viewers and readers, many of whom aren't avid sports fans or haven't seen a women's Olympic basketball game, to the entire U.S. team. If you hadn't seen Breanna Stewart in her previous Olympic appearances, you would have tuned in this summer because of Clark's star power. The same goes for Brittany Griner. If she's healthy, she won't be there, and thus, many fans won't follow, as they usually don't. Imagine the global interest Clark could have generated, with reporters and fans from around the world watching her make stunning plays and signing autographs. Little girls in Europe and Africa might have been just as captivated as those in the USA. It all comes down to USA Basketball, whose mission is to promote, grow, and elevate the game at all levels. Missing out on representing your country in the Olympics is undoubtedly disheartening, and Caitlin Clark likely felt that way when she learned she hadn't made the 12-player roster for the Paris Games. On Sunday, Caitlin Clark and Fever coach Christy Sides addressed the news for the first time since it was announced that the top overall pick didn't make Team USA's final roster for the 2024 Olympics in Paris next month. Clark maintained her usual calm demeanor when reacting to the news, but Sides revealed her star's immediate response. Clark got the call while on the bus and texted Sides to share the news. Sides tried to keep her spirits up, and Clark's reaction was, "Hey coach, they woke a monster," which Sides found impressive. Clark noted that the team's mix of talent and experience, none of the players being younger than 26, was a key factor in her not making the roster. Despite this, Clark expressed enthusiasm for the players who did make the team. She said, "I'm excited for the girls on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and it could have gone either way, with me being on the team or not. I'll be rooting for them to win gold. Watching the Olympics has always been a dream for me. and this just adds motivation. Hopefully, in 4 years, I can be there. Clark was invited to the most recent training camp in April, which would have been her first chance to work with the senior national team, but she couldn't attend due to the Final Four. Nonetheless, she gave herself a strong chance with a standout rookie season. However, she has faced challenges with the physicality of the game and leads the league in turnovers, averaging 5.6 per game. These issues, along with the talent and experience of the players ahead of her, seem to be the reasons she didn't make the final roster. According to Christine Brennan of USA Today, Team USA veterans were concerned about how Clark's large fan base might react if she were chosen, but received limited playing time. Clark didn't go into details about the decision, but mentioned that USA Basketball called her to deliver the news before it was publicly leaked on social media. On the bright side, Clark will finally get a break when the WNBA takes a pause for the Olympics. She's been playing almost non-stop since her senior season at Iowa started in October. Once the Fever finish their pre-Olympic schedule on July 17th, they won't play again until August 16th. "I'm really looking forward to a break," Clark said. "I've loved every second of competing, but it will be great to rest, get healthy, and take a bit of time away from basketball. It'll be nice to find some peace and quiet for myself." There's a slight chance Clark could still join the team as an injury replacement. Notably, Chelsea Gray, who was selected, hasn't played in 8 months due to a foot injury, and it's unclear when she'll return. As one of the top playmakers, Clark could be next in line if Gray isn't back in time. However, Clark is focusing on the Fever and their effort to climb out of the 11th seed. "If USA Basketball needs something, I have a good relationship with them, but the 12 players they've selected are really great," Clark said. "I think they're in good hands. Cheryl Reeve is a great coach, and the selection committee did a really good job." Some media personalities suggest that not making Team USA could turn out to be a blessing in disguise for Clark. Jamel Hill, formerly of ESPN, suggested that not competing for the gold medal might actually be beneficial for Clark. In just a few weeks, Clark transitioned from college basketball to becoming a professional and dealing with a demanding schedule. A multi-week break could be just what she needs, Hill mentioned in an X post. Clark had almost no offseason. Her college career ended on April 7th after a long 6-month season, and just a week later, she was the first overall pick in the WNBA draft by the Indiana Fever. She started practicing almost immediately, with the Fever's preseason beginning 11 days before the WNBA season kicked off on May 14th. The WNBA season will take a nearly month-long break for the Olympics.
Not a flagrant foul penalty one, which it probably should have been upon review, at least by our account. This, you could have gotten Reese for a personal, but can also see that being a no call.
Fans are really upset that nobody from Caitlin Clark's team is there to back her up as she faces tough times on the court. It's unfair for Caitlin and pretty sad from Angel Reese's perspective. While many NBA and WNBA veterans have shown their support for Clark, Angel McCoughtry took it to the next level. She's offered herself to the Indiana Fever, ready to come in and defend Clark.
Caitlin, she's a great player. I'm a fan of her. You know, I think our girls jealous? I don't know. She got $28 million from Nike.
She's getting a $28 million deal from Nike, which is huge considering that half of the WNBA players won't even make $1 million in their entire careers. A retired 5-time WNBA All-Star has stepped up, offering to be Caitlin Clark's bodyguard as she keeps getting targeted by other players. Angel McCoughtry, now 37, weighed in on the recent buzz surrounding Caitlin Clark after Chennedy Carter's cheap shot on Saturday. Clark's fans are hoping for someone to step in and protect the Indiana Fever star since her current teammates aren't doing much. Speaking with TMZ Sports, McCoughtry said she's willing to come out of retirement to be Clark's bodyguard if the Fever needs one. She's got more than just a tough attitude on the court. The 2-time WNBA scoring champion, drafted first overall in 2009, sounds ready for a fight.
Lead. McCoughtry skying in, able to finish in the foul.
Take care of your players, all of y'all, McCautry said.
Take care of your players, all of y'all. I mean, I don't care who it is.
McCautry said it boldly, showing her willingness to join the Indiana Fever to defend and support Caitlin Clark. Former NBA players and others in the basketball community have raised concerns about protecting Clark as some WNBA players try to gain a physical and psychological edge over her. Fellow WNBA players seem to think they can make a name for themselves by targeting Caitlin Clark. Meanwhile, Fever teammates have passively watched as Clark gets pushed around on the court. During Saturday's win over the Chicago Sky, Fever players stood by as Chennedy Carter unnecessarily hip-checked Clark on an inbound pass. Since that dirty play, no Fever teammates have stepped up to defend Clark or voice their support. McCautry added, "I don't care who it is. If somebody's dragging your player down by the neck, I'm in your face. What the hell are you doing? Hey, we could go have lunch later, but right now, we're competing. Don't grab my player like that."
I'm gonna step up for you. Somebody get my teammate face. Here I am.
Why
What's
is
going
that
on?
happening, Angel?
After receiving a lot of criticism from fans and veterans like McCautry, Indiana Fever players have shown their intent to fiercely defend rookie sensation Caitlin Clark. They've been facing a whirlwind of opinions accusing them of not safeguarding their star player. The #1 pick in the recent WNBA draft has endured a lot of physical play, sparking debates over her teammates' protective efforts. Kelsey Mitchell, one of the team's leaders, addressed these criticisms head-on after a recent practice, stating, "At the end of the day, not only is she human, but she's a 22-year-old kid. There are certain things she's going to experience over time," Mitchell said.
She deserves to give herself some grace, and I think a lot of people around this world should too. And I think that at the end of the day, not only is she human, she's a 22-year-old kid.
It's our job as a team to make sure she's covered from a standpoint of feeling mentally and physically safe. Obviously, we want her to feel at home all the time, stressed Mitchell.
She's going to transition. There's going to be things that she's just going to experience that comes with time. And I think that the world should give her some grace. I really do. And I think that's our job as a team to make sure that she's covered from the standpoint of feeling mentally and physically safe, obviously. But psychologically, we want her to, at the end of the day, she got to go home and sleep. So that's our deal. We want her to feel at home all the time.
The backlash intensified after a controversial incident involving Chicago Sky's Chennedy Carter during a heated game. Carter shoved Clark to the ground, and the Fever players were criticized for their slow response and lack of confrontation towards Carter's antics. Angel Reese and other Sky members even applauded the cheap shot, highlighting the contrasting reactions between the two teams. This behavior has alarmed many, including politicians. Indiana Representative Jim Banks is demanding answers from the WNBA to ensure Clark is protected from such incidents. Banks sent a letter to Kathy Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, seeking details on the league's plans to safeguard Clark. In his letter, Banks praised the increased fan interest in women's basketball that Clark has generated before referencing Carter's seemingly unprovoked foul. He also mentioned that the foul was visibly cheered on by Carter's teammate Angel Reese. While acknowledging the state's familiarity with tough basketball, Banks described the incident as a cheap shot that could have resulted in an injury and should not be tolerated. He criticized the lack of punishment for Carter beyond a retroactive upgrade to a flagrant foul and some unrelated fines for missing media appearances. To Banks, this indicates that the WNBA isn't holding hostile players accountable or enforcing their own rules of sportsmanship. Banks posed several questions to the commissioner, including what steps the WNBA is taking to curb excessive physical targeting of specific players, whether individual organizations will be held responsible for allowing players with histories of violence to target their competitors, and if repeatedly diminishing fellow players' talents benefits the league's overall success. He also asked if it is inspiring to young female athletes to see players like Caitlin Clark physically targeted for their success. There's no question that many WNBA players have struggled to hide their resentment towards Clark for the attention and money she generates through endorsement deals. The WNBA's only hope of achieving lasting relevance in the broader sports landscape is by creating and sustaining stars. Clark is essentially the first star of this magnitude the league has had in years, if not ever. It is not in the league's best interest to allow other players to target her, especially if that targeting leads to injury. Banks' questions are crucial, and the WNBA's answers may be even more so.
What an incredible talent she is, 2 Final Fours, leading scorer, history of college basketball. So I look forward to watching her ongoing development in the league.
But the response to this letter from the WNBA commissioner is epic. Speaking at his usual press conference ahead of the NBA Finals on Thursday, League Commissioner Adam Silver addressed the flagrant foul by Chicago Sky guard Chennedy Carter on Indiana Fever player Caitlin Clark last weekend. He called it a welcome to the league moment, adding that it's nothing new in basketball.
It's nothing new in basketball that there's sort of welcome to the league moments.
Carter's off-ball foul against Caitlin Clark on Saturday has sparked an outcry from critics, who argue that Carter appeared to go out of her way to throw her hip and shoulder into Clark, who had her back turned and fell to the ground after the foul. Silver addressed a wide range of topics, including Clark's rising stardom in the league, the future of the WNBA, and an upcoming media rights deal. Of course, I want to see Caitlin Clark treated fairly and appropriately in the league, Silver told reporters. I would say it seems like she can take care of herself. She's a tough player.
Of course, I want to see Caitlin treated fairly and appropriately in the league. I would say it seems like she can take care of herself. She's a tough player.
Following the foul on Saturday, Clark told reporters she was doing her best not to let it get to her. I think at this point, I know I'm going to take a couple of hard shots a game, and that's what it is. I'm trying not to let it bother me and just stay in the game and focus on what's important, because usually it's the second person that gets caught if you retaliate. Silver called the passionate interest in Clark, as well as her rivalry with Chicago star player Angel Reese, very healthy for women's basketball and the league.
I think ultimately this is very healthy for women's basketball in the WNBA.
It's generating a lot of extra interest, Silver said. To be fair to the other players and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, this didn't just start this year. He noted that while the WNBA has had several star players in recent years, Clark has significantly increased interest in the league.
It's generating tremendous additional interest. In fairness to the other players and in fairness to Commissioner Engelbert, this didn't just start this year. Certainly, we're seeing an acceleration of it with Caitlin, but many individual stars who came in this league in the last several years, and then again, I've been with the league for a long time, so I was there the early days with Val Ackerman, and of course David Stern when we developed the WNBA.
If you look back at our original business plan from 28 years ago, we didn't anticipate it would take this long to achieve the level of popularity we're seeing now, Silver said. Ultimately, I don't want to make too big of a deal about one player or one call. However, the growing rivalries in professional basketball, both between teams and individual players, can be beneficial for the sport, he continued.
If you went back and looked at our original business plan from 28 years ago, we didn't think it would be such a long timeline to kind of break into the sort of popularity we're seeing now. So ultimately, I don't want to make too big an issue about one particular player, one particular call, but I think the burgeoning rivalries in professional basketball, you see rivalries obviously among clubs, but also among individual players too. And I think that can be ultimately good for the sport.
Earlier this week, ESPN host Pat McAfee apologized for referring to Clark as a white bee.
I utilized the words white bee to describe Caitlin Clark as being the superstar. Those were not my intentions, but that's how you took it. That's on me. I do apologize.
During a segment discussing whether race has influenced the WNBA rookie's rapid rise, Silver said he accepted McAfee's apology and considered it a misstep. Regardless of the commissioner's views, Caitlin's growing fan base and her exciting yet kind style of play are what's truly genuine, Silver said. This is what basketball fans want. Women's basketball enthusiasts are now Caitlin's fans because she's brought the sport to a place where everyone is talking about it. Caitlin Clark's talent is undeniable, and she's been proving it from her very first games. Even the biggest names in history need time to showcase their full potential, especially in major leagues like the NBA and WNBA. As Clark continues to get acclimated to the WNBA, her mindset and skills are being honed to make her an even more formidable player. Her quick learning ability is evident in her evolving perspectives. Before her debut as a rookie, Clark didn't see much difference between the NCAA and the WNBA. "I don't think it'll be any different from college," Clark said. "I've played in front of big crowds every single game, so these environments don't scare me or affect me at all. I think just embrace it and enjoy it. I'm sure there will be a lot of basketball fans here who really appreciate the game." However, her perception shifted after her first game. She has since admitted several times that the WNBA game is much more physical than she anticipated. She experienced this physicality firsthand during the Indiana Fever's third straight loss on Saturday. "The physicality is definitely up there. I'm easily pushed off screens," Clark told reporters. "The game seems a little fast for me right now, but the more I play and the more comfortable I get, it's going to slow down a bit. It'll be easier for me to make reads and see things develop." Clark is quickly adapting to the game, showing significant improvement with each match. On Monday, the Fever nearly secured a win, but narrowly lost 88-84 to the Connecticut Sun. Clark scored 17 points, hitting 5 of 11 shots and making all 4 free throws. Despite injuring her ankle, she played for 27 minutes, adding 5 assists, 3 rebounds, and 5 turnovers. Although the Fever lost, the game was a clear sign of their progress. Veteran guard Kelsey Mitchell, who started the season with an ankle injury, has been regaining her form, which has benefited Clark. In the final moments of Monday's game, Clark played a key role, contributing to 17 of the Fever's 23 fourth-quarter points. The excitement surrounding Caitlin Clark is at an all-time high, and for good reason. Some frustrated fans have even edited the Wikipedia page of Indiana head coach Christy Sitz following Clark's first 2 WNBA preseason games. Clark played in 2 preseason matches for the Fever, but has not yet participated in a regular season game. Fans are already expressing their dissatisfaction with side's management of Clark, who is expected to be a key player in the WNBA. Clark had a strong preseason debut against the Dallas Wings, but shot 4 for 12 in last Thursday's game against the Atlanta Dream. Sides commented on Clark's performance, saying, "I think she's used to some shots that she's taken in the last few years that are just those shots she's going to get open looks. She's got to figure it out. I gave her a rule the other day. She has 0.5 seconds to make a decision." Christy Sides also talked about Clark needing to change some habits. When she gets off the ball and hits someone in the high post, she tends to hang out and dance around. That's something she's used to doing, and it's a habit we need to break. One of Clark's upset fans even accused Sides of trying to undermine Clark's game, editing Sides' Wikipedia page to claim she's the only coach capable of damaging what the WNBA aims to achieve with Clark. The edited entry in the Indiana Fever section reads, "Sides got her first head coaching job in 2022 when she was hired as the 9th head coach in Indiana Fever franchise history and the only coach that could possibly ruin what the WNBA is on track to accomplish by ruining Caitlin Clark's game." During Caitlin Clark's pregame warm-up in Brooklyn on Saturday, she paused for an interview with NBC's Today hosts Hoda Kotb and Jenna Bush Hager. Later, she posed in uniform with Trailblazer Billie Jean King. In between, Clark played a game, scoring a career-high 22 points with 8 assists and 6 rebounds. Notable figures like Jason Sudeikis, Megan Rapinoe, Sue Bird, and Dawn Staley watched as she dominated the court. Clark's first week in the WNBA highlighted both her star power and the challenges of transitioning from college to the pros. She debuted in Connecticut and Indianapolis, and following her first game in New York City, she received mixed reactions. Fans eagerly awaited wearing number 22 shirts and holding signs, and Clark tried to accommodate as many selfie and autograph requests as possible. Caitlin acknowledged that she needs to handle physicality better, be more decisive in navigating screens, and develop more chemistry with Indiana's posts. She assisted last year's Rookie of the Year, Aaliyah Boston, on 4 of Boston's 12 field goals in 2023. Indiana guard Erica Wheeler assisted Boston on 24% of her field goals, according to PBP stats. Clark's assists to Boston haven't been evenly distributed across games. The Fever knows they have much to improve on as a team. Through 3 games, they are allowing 18 fast break points and 17.3 second chance points per game, both second highest in the WNBA, a significant drop from last year. Their defense is conceding more than 116 points per 100 possessions, the worst in the league. Failing to contest shooters in the first half of their loss to New York on Saturday was as damaging as any offensive issues. Clark often talks about the importance of being kind to herself. She's seen both the ups and downs of being a pro, becoming the first WNBA player to record 21 turnovers in their first 21 games, and the second after Candace Parker to achieve over 50 points, 15 assists, and 10 rebounds, according to Across the Timeline. I know people expect me to do amazing things, but it might take some time, she said on Tuesday. On Saturday, she added, I think the more we play together, the better our chemistry will be. Despite the Fever's 0-3 start, Coach Christy Sides noted progress. The team faced tough losses, including a 21-point defeat to Connecticut and a 36-point blowout on Thursday. Before Saturday's game, Sides stressed the need to compete and asked her team to understand what that looks and feels like. The 11-point loss to New York showed more of the fight Sides wanted. We couldn't figure that out the other night, and that was so frustrating, Sides said. Now we kind of have an idea of where we are. The Fever are a young team with potential, competing against some of the WNBA's best. This is going to take a little time, All-Star guard Kelsey Mitchell said on Saturday. Mitchell, recovering from an ankle injury, came off the bench in Indiana's first 2 games. Playing against the best of the best is the only way we're going to get better. During one sequence in the second quarter on Saturday, Clark missed a deep 3-pointer, giving the ball back to Liberty. On New York's next offensive possession, Ionescu faked a pass, then nailed a 3 while Clark failed to contest. Running back on defense, Ionescu shrugged as if to say Clark shouldn't have left her open. She never stops moving, Clark said of Ionescu. She's always on the move, always got a bounce in her feet, and I think that's something I can try to replicate in my game. Clark is getting used to her new pro routine. At Iowa, the Hawkeyes would sometimes show up 90 minutes before tip-off, warm up, and play. But for Tuesday's opener at Mohegan Sun Arena, she arrived more than 2 hours early. In the locker room, Clark ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and joked with Wheeler while getting a massage. She's not used to being at the gym this early, so I told her she needs to find things to do, whether that's stretching, watching film, or filling the time, Wheeler said. Clark hasn't had much downtime, as Indiana's opening stretch includes 7 games in 12 days, with matchups against the Sun, Seattle Storm, and Las Vegas Aces in the next week. When asked about her activities outside of basketball, Clark said, I'm about to move into my apartment, so I'm moving out of the hotel. That's fun. Veteran Fever center Mika Catchings praised Clark's composure, saying, I'm so proud of how she is as a person.
Today, anytime the head is hit, they usually call it. And, she gets her really hard there. Any contact above the shoulders.
Angel Reese hit Caitlin Clark right on the head and ended up getting benched for it. To be honest, this situation isn't as glamorous or joyful for Clark as it might seem. The physical demands and the pressure of expectations, both on and off the court, have been tough. Adding to that, the stress from social media and various conspiracies has made things even harder. Clark talked about how challenging it all has been.
Younger than that at times, and I'm trying to navigate moving to a new city by myself. I'm trying to navigate, playing in a new league on top of everything else that has come with it. And
in the midst of all the chaos, Caitlin Clark is trying to stay calm. It's definitely not easy or delightful. The world keeps pulling her into the whirlwind. Over just a few years in the spotlight, Clark's story has evolved from a fun narrative about a record-breaking college basketball scorer who brought new attention to women's basketball, to discussions about race, sexuality, fame, money, and opportunity. Then, It shifted back to concerns about her turnover numbers early in her first WNBA season. Clark highlighted the importance of focusing on mental health and emphasized that seeking help is crucial. "I can achieve everything in my life," she said. "I'm not afraid to ask for help and to tell people, you know, today is just not my day, and that's okay. Not every day has to be perfect."
I think it's something that a lot of people in our country struggle with, especially young individuals. And, I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid to ask for help.
The concern isn't just about Clark herself. Tennis star Serena Williams recently praised Caitlin Clark for handling early success well despite social media negativity. Speaking to the New York Post at the Tribeca Festival about her docuseries In the Arena, Serena was asked about Caitlin. Serena responded, "I just love that she tries to stay grounded." She mentioned that Caitlin avoids looking at her social media. Sharing some advice with Caitlin, Serena said,
"If people are negative, it's because they can't do what you do, basically, and hopefully she'll continue to do what she's doing."
Relating to Clark's tough early career days, Serena Williams shared her own experiences with similar negativity as a young tennis star. "I was bullied," Serena said. "Things I went through would get people canceled now." Earlier this year, Serena expressed interest in owning a WNBA team while talking to CNN. "I would definitely be super interested with the right market," she reiterated. "We just need the right catalyst and people. And I think that's happening over the past 2 years. Women's sports are finally having their moment." Big stars like Serena recognize Caitlin Clark's unprecedented rise to fame. She's one of the most popular athletes on the planet, and she hasn't even played her first WNBA game. In her first 14 games, Clark is on track to win Rookie of the Year, averaging 15.6 points on 36.7% shooting, 32.2% from three, 4.9 rebounds, and 6 assists. However, she's also facing intense physicality and committing a league-high 5.5 turnovers per game. Amid all the attention, fans are concerned about her mental health and well-being. Being famous has its perks, but at just 22 years old, there's worry about whether Clark can handle the long-term pressure. In ESPN's Full Court Press series, Clark admitted she sometimes wishes she were normal because all the attention and press can be draining. "There are days when you don't want to talk to everyone," Clark said, "but someone comes up to you, and this is their 10-second interaction with you, so you better smile and be kind. But sometimes, you just want to be normal." Despite the pressure, Caitlin Clark seems to be handling it well so far. But with her fame expected to rise, fans are concerned about her mental health. Life as a celebrity has its downsides, but the pros often make it worth it. At 22, Clark's exciting journey in the world of basketball and celebrity continues. The latest chapter took place on Sunday in front of a sold-out crowd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. There, she faced Angel Reese, a Chicago Sky rookie familiar with high-profile showdowns against Clark. They had a heated battle in the 2023 NCAA National Championship game, where Reese's LSU Tigers defeated Clark's Iowa Hawkeyes, famously mocking Clark's "you can't see me" hand motion. Clark and Iowa got their revenge when they knocked out Reese and LSU in this year's Elite Eight in April. Attendance and merchandise sales spiked, and everyone assumed the latest Clark-Reese game would set viewership records. "I think it's the emotion and passion we play with," Clark said. "That's something that wasn't always appreciated about women's sports. And it should be. It makes it fun. We're competitors. And that's how the game should be. It's going to get feisty and physical, but both teams are just trying to win." In their second professional meeting, the Fever earned a 91-83 win, with Clark delivering her best all-around performance of her 15-game career. She scored 23 points on 11 shots, adding 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 blocked shots. In a dramatic turn, Reese hit Clark across the head, sending her to the floor as she attempted to block Clark's layup in the third quarter, earning Reese a flagrant foul. Clark's reaction was unexpectedly composed. "What's going through my mind is, I need to make these 2 free throws," she said. "That's all I'm thinking about. It's just part of basketball. It is what it is. She's just trying to make a play on the ball and get the block. It happens."